Can you get a student loan as an international student in New Zealand? Studying abroad is very exciting. It opens up opportunities for you. It's also one of the ways that people use to move to countries and live and gain experiences that they would not normally have gotten if they were living in their country. However, it is so expensive. If we are being honest, it is very expensive because unlike moving abroad to work, you are making money. Studying, you are just studying, except maybe you get funding, you get scholarships, your research is funded by your supervisors, and you are paid stipends. That way you are sure your tuition fee and even accommodation is taken care of. But if you don't have any of this, then you will quickly know that it is very expensive. First of all, international student fees is almost double domestic student fees. What am I saying? Double. 5 times in some cases. So you see that scale. Like in New Zealand, depending on what you're studying, I'll use PhD for instance. PhD would be around $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 at most. If you are studying any other PhD that does not qualify for that domestic fees, you'll be paying 4 times that. So picture that thing. That's why studying abroad is very exciting, but it's also very expensive. But you know, we're human beings, we love to go for those things. So now, can you take loan as an international student in New Zealand? I've had many people ask me this question and I decided to answer that question. Can an international student studying in New Zealand take loan in New Zealand? Do you qualify? The person that asked me this question made it seem like it works in other countries, and I cannot say if it does because I have not done that research. But for New Zealand, as an international student, you may be eligible for student loan. But terms and conditions apply. You have to meet certain criteria. So the simplest answer to that is yes, as an international student, you may be eligible for study loan to study in New Zealand, depending on your circumstances. The main body that gives out student loan in New Zealand is called StudyLink, and they have some write-up on if you're coming to New Zealand to study. You can get student allowance or student loan, but you need to either be a New Zealand citizen or an ordinary resident in New Zealand who has lived here for 3 years and is entitled to continue living in New Zealand indefinitely for at least 3 years. But it's not just limited to them. You can also apply if you are a refugee or a protected person in New Zealand who is entitled to live here indefinitely. You are on the Christchurch Response 2019 permanent residence visa or you're eligible for it. You are entitled to reside indefinitely in New Zealand and were sponsored to New Zealand by someone in your family. At the time you were sponsored, were a refugee or a protected person who was entitled to reside in New Zealand indefinitely. And the last one is that you are on an Afghan emergency resettlement visa for study starting on or after January 2022. So let's see when this article was last updated. It doesn't say, but this group of people are eligible for study loan in New Zealand, and what you get is student loan to help pay for compulsory course fees, course related cost, living cost. You also get student allowance to help pay for your living cost as well. But there are some international students that are still eligible for student loan. Besides New Zealand citizens and ordinary residents in New Zealand, foreign enrolled students can also get student loan. However, it's going to be from your home country, and that university that you're going to study in has to be approved. So you mainly see this with US students. Some students may be eligible for foreign government support. So your government, your home country government will sponsor you to come and study in New Zealand. If that is the case, and if that your country has an education agreement with New Zealand, then you are eligible for a foreign government supported student visa. But that agreement that your home country has with New Zealand has to outline terms of the agreement. For instance, your tuition fee and your student allowance has to be paid for. Then some universities also offer student loan. The University of Auckland has what they call direct loan for international students. However, you have to be a US citizen or permanent resident. So that one has filtered out many other countries. The people that qualify for that loan are US citizens or permanent residents. Victoria University of Wellington also has student loan for masters and PhD students. However, it's for Colombian students only. The rest of you will have to get your student loan from your home country or from an overseas lending body. For instance, it's called Overseas Education Loan, where some financial organization can offer you loan for your international studies. Well, if you don't have an option, any other way of funding yourself, you can consider that. So now you've seen that you will not qualify for student loan in New Zealand unless if your government has some education agreements with New Zealand. So you go and look into all of those. Generally speaking, to get a student loan to study in New Zealand, you will have to be a New Zealand citizen or resident or one of those, refugee or protected person. But I've seen that it's becoming very common that US is getting into some arrangement directly with some universities to make it easier for their students to study in New Zealand, but the university has to be approved. If you're not any of those I've just discussed, you have to check back with your government. They could be offering student loan, or there are some financial institutions that are happy to give student loan, but I will say be very careful because some of them, their interest rate is crazy. If you can apply for scholarships, that will be the best way to go, and then you can come to New Zealand. I just wanted to add here that yes, these universities don't provide loans to international students, student loans to international students, but they can accept and administer a range of student loan schemes. There are also some bodies that can provide financial assistance to foreign enrolled students through loans to support their education. However, you need to meet the eligibility criteria of this support that they're going to be providing you. However, in general, student loan is very limited for international students. If you would need to have student loan, you would probably need to have it from your country, and with that is also limited for where you can study with this loan. So you have to really check out the eligibility criteria, because not all countries would probably support you studying abroad with their money, and if you do, it's not at all universities that you can study in. So research. I've talked about proof of funds already in a different video. I'm going to put the link in the description box, but you can also be sponsored by family, but the person has to be a New Zealand citizen, or you get a financial guarantor, and there are also terms and conditions on who can be your financial guarantor and what are the criteria that they need to meet. I hope this video helps and has answered your question. If it made you more confused, I'm sorry about that. You can ask your questions in the comment section. It's your girl, the Sassy Engineer. Until next time, toodles. Wow.